Are you feeling sad or down or unable to concentrate? Maybe you've got extreme mood changes of highs and lows, and you find yourself withdrawing from friends and the things that used to bring you joy. Well, these are all signs that you might be slipping into mental illness, with these patterns affecting your mood, your thinking, and your behavior. And the thing is, you're not alone, because many people have mental health concerns from time to time. But a mental health concern becomes a mental illness when ongoing signs and symptoms cause frequent stress and affect your ability to function. A mental illness can make you miserable and can cause problems in your daily life, whether that's at school or work or in your relationships. In most cases, symptoms can be managed with a combination of medication and therapy. And today we have a psychologist with us in studio. So listen in. Good morning, good people. Now, we are talking about mental health today, and you are watching Living With Us. And I am your host, Sharon Mundia, just in case you're joining us for the very first time and you didn't know. So I'm sure by now you know, if you've been watching and following along, you know that last week we did talk about depression, and we had Sam McKenzie come over to the studio and share with us her journey from the moment she was diagnosed to, today, how she dealt with it, the ups and the downs. And in studio today, we have a clinical psychologist with over 12 years experience. Her name is Dr. Nancy Ngendo Nyaga, and she's going to share with us more insight and just knowledge into this topic that we all know it can be quite taboo. But before we dive into the topic, let's make sure we're following each other on social media, shall we? Just come on over, chat with us, let us know what you'd love to see on the show. If you have any personal questions too, maybe you're dealing with some mental health issues and you don't know how to go about it, throw us a DM. We'd love to hear from you guys. It's Living With Us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And you're more than welcome to also send us messages. The SMS line should be on the screen right now. But now, let's dive into the topic and the discussion of mental health. Welcome to studio, Dr. Nancy.
Thank you, Sharon.
Where do we start? Maybe let's start with the basics. What is mental health?
Mental health basically talks about dealing with mental illness.
Okay.
It is where people are going through conditions that affect their mind, and therefore they have to seek mental health and try to seek treatment and try to get better.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. And who can be affected by this?
Mental health, if we go mental illness, let's start there.
Yeah.
If we talk about mental illness, because that is what will make us seek mental health or work towards mental health, affects the mind or the brain. It is the condition that affects our way of thinking, our emotions, our moods, and subsequently our behavior. So every human being has a mind.
Exactly.
A priest, a president, a CEO, someone in the slums, everybody has a brain, and therefore they can be affected.
I think the reason I even wanted to touch on that is because sometimes there's this notion that that's for other people. Other people will be affected by that. I don't get. That's not for me.
Exactly.
Anything else, you're open and open to the idea of it affecting you, whether it's a headache, a stomach ache, you're like, I get those, but me, my mind, all things are going. Anyone can be affected by this.
Exactly.
Now, maybe we can dive a little bit deeper into mental illness and maybe share the different types there are. What are the different types of mental illness?
Oh, there are many. There are actually over 250 mental illnesses.
Wow.
This diagnostic manual that we use to help us be able to say what kind of a mental illness someone is going through. For example, when majority will think of anxiety disorders, depressive disorders, bipolar, but besides those, there are so many other mental illnesses. And when you think about like depressive disorders, there are quite a number. There are different types of depressive disorders. For example, you have major depressive disorder, you have persistent depression. So there are various categories or other subtypes of illnesses, like say other depressive disorders. When you talk about bipolar, we have bipolar 1, mood disorder, we have bipolar 2.
Okay.
We have another one that are the same, cyclothymia.
So it's almost like a spectrum.
A spectrum. And when we talk about psychotic disorders, schizophrenia, there are also various subtypes of that. So there are quite many, and how you get to know which type someone is going through, you really have to do a thorough investigation.
Okay, and that requires someone to come in.
To come in and be able to help you understand.
Now, why is it that it's often seen, or like any kind of mental illness is often seen as a Western problem, especially when you talk about things like OCD, you know, obsessive compulsive disorder, or anxiety or depression. A lot of times you'll hear like,
oh yes, I hear that every time, Sharon, in my clinic.
Yeah.
Especially with someone bringing a relative and they don't understand that they're going through depression. These are wazungu sicknesses. This is a white man's syndrome. And I keep telling people the world is a global village. What is happening in America is what is happening today. The way your child is treating at home is the way a child in America is treating. Because today we are all operating at more connection level. We want to connect more. We want to feel connected to others. It is not just about food and shelter and being provided for. People want to feel that they are loved, they are cared for, and therefore when something is not going on people start feeling low, feeling sad. And I mean, you look at the young generation today, I mean, and you're in that white generation, and where you're working, you want to be recognized, you want to feel appreciated. Young people are resigning today from their jobs, very good jobs, and the reasons they'll be giving you is, I don't feel like I'm making an impact. I don't feel appreciated. 20 years ago, my generation, is because you're able to put food on the table, you have to stay on. Today it's not just about being able to put food on the table, it's like, do I like what I'm doing?
Does it speak to your soul?
Exactly.
And, are you serving your purpose?
Exactly. So when we don't understand the times we are living in, then that is why we stigmatize mental illness, because it is not about America or Europe. It is how the society is today, what our needs today, and for our children. And that is for a child in the slums, a child in the village, a child in Nairobi,
in State
in
House,
any
doesn't
urban
matter.
setting. Exactly.
Now, that being said, I know that there's, you know, there's still this huge stigma around mental health, but I do feel that there are more conversations going on now more than ever. And it's almost like there's a blanket that's been lifted, and suddenly we're all just like, you know what? No, we're going to talk about it. And it doesn't matter if it makes you look weak or whatever the case. It doesn't matter, because that's not the truth. So I'm also glad that because of social media and tweeting and the world that we are in now, that we're able to at least have more conversations.
Yes, which is a good thing.
Yeah, exactly. So what are some of the ways that you're able to detect a mental disorder, and not as a doctor, but as a friend, as a sister, as a daughter, or as a mother? How are some of the ways that we can be able to keep our eyes open and peeled to these signs?
It's sometimes simple. It can also be difficult, but basically because we won't know what's going on in someone's mind, because we said it affects the mind, but subsequently affects the behavior. So you will notice that someone who was happy going to work, enjoying certain things, they are suddenly withdrawn. They don't go for into social settings. They are withdrawing from even Facebook or from social media. They're also withdrawing from their friends. They don't want to eat, or they're eating too much. They don't want to sleep, or they don't have sleep. They're not able to sleep for many hours, or they are only sleeping for 2 or 3 hours, or they are sleeping too much. So there are all those changes in behavior that you observe, and it's not a one-day thing. It probably will continue for more than a week or two. And then also they will start talking in a way like, say, for suicidal people, this life is too difficult. Why am I here? Is this life worth it? And then they repeatedly talking about that. So you get to know that this person who is looking sad most of the time, and now all they talk about is probably even dying.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
and
better.
Ending things.
Ending things.
So I guess what I'm hearing from you is that it requires you to keep your ears
on the ground.
On the ground. Really pay attention to their behaviors. Because like you said, sometimes it's not easy to see. You could see someone walking and they are absolutely, you know, smile on the face, dressed well, everything is great.
And you know how to mask it, Sharon.
Oh yeah,
we wear our makeup,
we become really good at that.
Our hairdos and wear our suits and our ties.
But deep down
you're dying, and
it's a struggle.
And you can't talk about it, especially for men, because it's weak to talk about an emotional problem.
Right.
Oh yes.
Actually, we were speaking about emotional intelligence a while back, and the topic of how, you know, how men often are told to sort of, you know, just relax with the emotional talk. You know, take it easy.
Man up, yes.
Yeah, right.
Yes.
Man up. That's not the space here now.
No,
absolutely not.
Because they also have a mind, and if they have a mind, they have emotions, and if the mind can be affected, their emotional state will also be affected.
Right.
Oh, yes.
Now, what about children? How different is it when you're dealing with children? Is it is mental? Is it different in any way?
Oh yes, because they also have a mind. We still go back to the same. As long as we have a brain, and the kids also go through depression. They even also go through bipolar, or the mental illnesses. They'll go post-traumatic stress disorder. They are exposed to things you're also exposed to, like trauma. I mean, when kids see, for example, their parents fighting and they're doing this repeatedly, that's traumatizing. When kids are abused sexually, that's traumatizing for them. And you will notice that for them, they may not exhibit their symptoms the way adults do, like say depression, because adults will get sad, get withdrawn. Kids will have anger outbursts, changing behavior. They're throwing tantrums, but not the normal tantrums, like say they just want a sweet, or they want a chocolate, or they want a particular toy. This is consistent, and they're doing this on a daily basis, and in different environments, in their home, at their neighbor's house, in school, in church,
oh my goodness,
at the malls, anywhere. So then, because there are certain places where a child will throw a tantrum, probably with their mom, or just with their dad, or their siblings. But when they go to church, they know this is not, when they go to class, they style. But when you see a child who is doing that in at least 3 different environments, then there's
it's a call for help. That there's something wrong.
Yes.
And that's interesting that you say that, because a lot of times we also try and minimize kids, our children's emotions, and it's almost like you're not allowed to be angry. You're not allowed to. They are normal,
perceiving human beings. And there's help for them also, because there's child therapy.
Right.
There are people who are well trained in child therapy, and theirs is done in a very simple way, because they may not be able to express themselves the way adults do.
Right.
So we structure play therapy for them. They draw. You're able to tell what a child is going through.
Right. And help them through
from their pictures, from how they are playing their games, from how they are presenting their family setting, from how they show how when daddy walks in, how the family behaves. You're able to see so much what's happening with the child. Okay.
And now, how early does any kind of mental health disorder come about? How early on does it start? Is it from childhood? Is it, you know, triggered by something? Or can you take us through that?
There's research shows children as early as 3 years who have been diagnosed with certain conditions.
Right.
Basically, from 5 years, you would have some kids who are diagnosed with conditions like ADHD.
Okay.
Yeah. Others depression because of what they've gone through.
Wow.
Yeah, so
exactly. It can start quite early on.
It can start quite early, and especially also when they are parented by caregivers who have the same conditions and they are not seeking treatment. So they probably if there's genetic predisposition, then they quickly, through socialization, and they also have this in them.
Right.
They quickly can have it triggered.
Okay.
And therefore start early.
Okay. When you talk about genetic predisposition, what does that mean? Does it mean if your dad maybe was schizophrenic that you are likely to be schizophrenic?
Oh yes, and we consider if it's both parents. If mommy had a particular mental illness or daddy, that could be 75% chance of you getting a mental illness. Just like how you find that you will find some families that there's diabetes in the family, there's cancer in the family, it's a particular cancer. You find that probably there is prostate cancer, not the other types. Another family, there's a predisposition to a particular medical condition. It's the same thing with mental illness, that you find in a particular family there's predisposition to schizophrenia or bipolar or depression or ADHD. And sometimes also, let me add this, alcoholism, which is normally a secondary problem, and especially when it's not treatable, because there's an underlying primary problem that has not been diagnosed. In most cases, a mental illness. So what did this person learn to do? They learned to use alcohol, hence got addicted. Or they learned to use marijuana or any other type of drug. So we keep taking them to rehab to deal with the addiction, but until we deal with the underlying primary problem, we haven't helped.
And it goes back to what we were saying, that you know, mental illness isn't just something that you make up and you can just get over, but just like any other illness, there are it could be a genetic factor that comes into play. Now, say for instance that is the case, and maybe like you were saying, there's a 75% chance. As a parent, what are some of the things that you can do to help prevent your child from falling under the same you know, illness?
Number one is, if you know you have anything like that, you need to seek treatment. And also observing their behavior, because you would be able to see a child who was doing so well in certain habits, probably they had stopped bedwetting and they started regressing. It's not an only a sign for you to say that now because they are bedwetting again they have a mental illness. It's just one of the things you
look out for.
You look out for, either they are not sleeping well. Listen to them. What are they talking about? Do you engage their teachers to know what is happening in school? Are they isolated? Do they play with other kids?
So basically just observing
and listening.
And listening. But are there things that you can actively do before? Or maybe, you know, take them out of certain environments or I don't know if you would medicate before it's an issue, probably not. But is there a way that you can prevent that? Or do you just, is it more about just watching and observing and seeing if something does change?
Watching, observing and seeing if there's anything, and just probably seeking help early enough, or just going for awareness, you know, just talk to a medic. Even a pediatrician will be able to guide and tell you, oh, this is just something normal for kids. If you're not satisfied, if it's continuing for long, then you would seek a therapist to guide you on what's going on. But we shy away a little from medicating children too early, because they are also developing, their mind is also developing, so we will need to be very, very careful.
Makes sense.
Exactly.
Before you jump in. Now, we have to take a quick break, but when we come back, we're going to dive a little bit deeper into depression. But we'll be back in a moment.
All right.
Welcome back. We are talking about mental health, and in studio we have Dr. Nancy Nyaga, who's been sharing a little bit more info about the world of mental health and mental illness. And we now know that anyone can be affected by this, even you watching this right now. So listen up, ladies and gents, okay? Because you never know. You never know. Now, I want us to touch a little bit on depression.
Okay.
And I want to know what's the difference between depression and someone just having a bad day or just going through a breakup and a bad moment. What's the difference?
The major difference is that someone just going through a breakup.
Yeah.
If we were able to work on that situation, maybe counsel them, talk to them, be able to perceive it differently, because sometimes we say the problem is actually not what's happening, it's how you perceive it. They snap out of it. Okay. In depression, you have more things going on, more symptoms going on with you. It's not just the sadness. You are not enjoying the things you used to enjoy before. Okay. You're not able to concentrate on your work. Okay. You've already either eating too much or eating too little, not sleeping or sleeping too much, at least over 6 or more symptoms. And then these are severe enough to affect your functioning, either at work, at home as a mother or a wife or a father or whoever, whatever you do with your life, or a student. And they have occurred for about 2 weeks, not 2 days. At least, or at not least 3 days. The way we say we are sad, I'm depressed. Actually, that word is so misused today.
It's overused. Exactly. We just throw it around, and it sort of waters down. It dilutes the kind of magnitude that it holds.
The other day, I was listening to someone, I think a month ago, who talked about this weather is bipolar. It's just shifting, and oh God! It was on radio. I can't remember which radio station. And I said, I wish I could call them and tell them, stop saying that, because you do not understand what bipolar is for those who are going through it.
Yeah, and the magnitude of their words.
Exactly.
Yeah. Oh, so that's a good tip, actually, that we respect and we try and use the words as they should be used.
We don't joke about things like cancer.
Yeah, actually, you're right. You'd never say this, this bulge is like a tumor. You'd never joke like that.
And we take it so seriously. Yeah. So when I hear someone say the weather is bipolar, I'm depressed because I've not eaten.
Yeah, right. So we have to use and mind our language.
Oh yes.
So how does it start? How does depression start? Is there a starting point to it? Because I'm sure you don't just wake up and you're like, I can't do any of the things that you were explaining.
First of all, there will be triggers. There will be risk factors that predispose you to going through depression. Probably like, say, what you started with, maybe a breakup. But then
so again, a breakup can lead to depression.
To that, or even an assault. Sexual abuse, issues of infidelity where people are affected by that, and it's happening over and over again. There's so many factors. Stress, even being in debt. I mean, you try to get out of debt and you're sinking further.
Death or loss.
Or loss. And then probably there's also the genetic predisposition. So you're not able to handle those situations how other people are able to handle them and get out of the cycle or deal with or cope with the stress.
Right. Yes. So then at that point, let's go back to the breakup example, right? Because I'm sure at some point in our lives we're going to go through a breakup. What about that can lead to depression? Is it because you suppress the feelings? Is it what about it can lead to depression?
In most cases is where people start feeling so guilty, they are ashamed, feeling inferior, making it about themselves, what we call personalizing.
Okay.
The person left me because I'm not good enough. Nobody wants me. Low self-esteem.
Yeah. Okay.
And therefore they feel like they're the reason why that happened. And they can't get out of that. And they need to be coached how to probably also make it about the other person, the choices they have made. Yeah. And understand what happened in the relationship and snap out of it. But when they are taken through a process. But if they keep ruminating on I'm not good enough, there's nothing good for me in this life, they end up now, magnifying those symptoms so much until now they start experiencing depression.
Okay.
Yes.
So if I then saw those signs, right? You've talked about 6. Let me see if I can remember. You said they don't enjoy the things they used to do beforehand. They sleep too much or sleep too little.
Eat too much.
They eat too much or eat too little.
No concentration.
No concentration.
Or focus at work.
Yeah, withdraw from
general
friends.
fatigue. You know, or feeling tired even when you wake up in the morning.
So say for instance, I was watching this right now and I thought, oh my goodness, I can recognize these things in my friends.
Yes.
In a friend of mine.
Yes.
What should I do?
Talk to them about it.
Okay.
Tell
so
them
just be upfront.
I'm just thinking about these things, and as I understand depression, I actually noticed like you go through these things and you've shared with me that this is what you're going through. Get to know how long they've experienced that. If it's more than 2 weeks, they just probably need to talk to someone. I've talked to people, let me give an example before I come back to that. Probably who went through a breakup or through someone died. So basically what they are going through is bereavement or loss and grief reactions. So that is not depression again. But they could actually have the 6, 7 or the 9 symptoms of depression as they are going through that. They've lost their appetite, they're crying every day, they are not able to sleep. But it's just because they lost someone or just because of this relationship. If we are able to probably now not have this environmental stressor, we wouldn't say this person is depressed.
That's true.
Okay, and if you take them through a bit of help and counseling, even without medication, and probably to view their life differently, if the symptoms are still there, then probably we would need to medicate them.
Okay.
And especially if they're not functional, if they're not going to work.
Right.
The clearest sign sometimes for medicating people if they are not functional. Otherwise, people are able to, or suicidal.
Or suicidal.
If they are suicidal and they are not able to go to work or do the daily activities they are supposed to do, then we need to medicate them.
Big red alert.
Exactly.
So now in this case of, say for instance, you do approach the friend, like you said, you talk to them and you say, I can see there's something wrong. And they say, actually, I've been having suicidal thoughts. What should you do in that situation?
That person needs to seek help.
Okay. So as a friend, the first thing you do is what? You call a doctor on their behalf, or do you drag them out of the house, or how do you go about that?
You make sure that they see a doctor.
Okay.
Because even if you call the doctor on their behalf and they don't go to see them, you haven't helped. You probably can be a good friend, accompany them to see the doctor.
Yeah. And is it fair to say that all suicide cases are related to mental illness?
Not quite.
Okay.
But again, that requires assessment.
Okay.
There are those sometimes young people who will, a sort of a tantrum, so to speak. You'll be able to tell, because if you don't have the other symptoms you are mentioning, because suicide alone is not a mental illness per se. It will occur in most of the mental illnesses. Someone going through bipolar can also have suicidality. Someone going through depression can also have suicidality. So what we check is what is causing this person want to end their life. Is it just because they were left? So you talk about it and they are okay. But if it's part of symptoms for depression, then probably we will be treating depression, and as we treat the depression, then the suicidality will be tackled.
Okay, so now stepping away from even depression, how does one's family or friends show support for someone going through any kind of mental illness? What are some of the do's and clear don'ts?
One is understanding them. Making them know that you're hearing them. And not negating what they are saying, invalidating what they are saying. No, a child comes to you and they tell you, I'm feeling sad, I'm feeling depressed. No, you look okay. You look fine. And we start looking, checking from your feet.
Go play, just go play.
Go play, go to school. What do you need? We give them more money. And where do you go? Where do they go? Especially for teenagers.
To a bar. It goes downhill. And I guess it goes back to some of the things that you were talking about, leading to addiction.
It was just mild, then it becomes severe. And I know there are parents who their children have actually asked that they want to see a helper or a therapist. And they say, no, you can talk to me. Why do you need to talk to a stranger?
Again, it goes back to the stigma.
By the time those children are coming to us, they've gone down so far.
Yeah, and you have to unravel all of that.
If your child is saying, I want to see someone, please allow them.
Yeah.
Because that's a child who wants to open up about what's going on with their life, and they will be helped.
True. And again, if that same child came and said, Mama, I'm having a bad stomachache, I want to see a doctor, you wouldn't think twice about it. You're like, get in the car, chop, chop, let's go.
Yes. You'll even stop what you're doing.
Right there and there.
We actually don't respect, and allow me to say this, because I get people calling and say, my only free time is on Sunday to bring my child. And I say, if they are sick today, would you wait for Sunday to take them to a doctor? They're
vomiting profusely. Would you say, just wait till Sunday?
Yes.
We'll deal with that.
So I tell them, just the way you take them to a general practitioner is the same way you come to us.
Yeah.
Because that's also a sickness.
Yeah.
And we don't work on Sundays.
Oh, that too. That too. Okay, so how else can they show support besides listening? Are there, what should they not do, or should they be doing besides listening and understanding?
Supporting them, asking them how they can help them.
Okay.
If they want to seek help from someone, like say for example, if it's a young person on campus, every university, every college has a counselor.
That's true.
Today,
if
they don't want to see those counselors, they can seek help from others that they may want to seek help from. But we cannot invalidate that they need to talk to someone. And not necessarily reward what they're asking for, because there are those, like what you asked, is suicide or about mental illness. Sometimes there are some people who will be throwing a tantrum, and when they get what they want, then
everything's back to normal.
Everything is back to normal.
Okay. And how does one who suffers from a mental illness cope with others? Because I think for the most part we've been trying to understand how does someone else deal with, you know, a friend of theirs who's going through this. But what about the person who is, you know, maybe bipolar, going through depression? How do they deal with others at work, at home? What are some of the things that they should be wary of or should be doing?
The person who is going through the condition themselves. Number one is accept themselves. Have some self-love, some self-compassion. And understand that they are fine. This is just something they are dealing with. Just like someone who is dealing with another medical condition. Have no secrecy about it. Let the family members know. Because the secrecy is what is also causing these mental illnesses just blow out of proportion. Because we don't want to talk about it. People are taking medication secretly. Nobody understands what you're taking, but they know you take medication at home. You see a doctor privately, quietly. So you cannot get support. And all the time, if you're working with a patient or a client, for us we call them clients because we don't want to pathologize all the time. There are certain conditions, like say insomnia. It is considered a mental illness. It is just lack of sleep. Yes, it is.
Again, it goes back to the mind.
It affects the mind, yes. Do you get now?
Yeah,
so
100%.
Probably they'll just be taking their medication quietly. Talk to your family. Let them understand. This is something that happens. The secrecy about these things is what is also perpetuating the generational patterns in the family. So there's alcoholism because people had anxiety or depression. They never dealt with it. And as a parent, you know that you have brothers and sisters who go through that. And you probably also went through that, but learned quickly how to cope with it or deal with it or sought treatment. And you're not telling your children, hey, this thing is in our family. You need to know this.
But if it was anything else, you'd just be open about it. If it was another disease or illness,
another disease, heart disease, we talk about it. We even go to hospital to visit our relatives. But when it's a mental illness, nobody dares to go to Chiromolin or Madare or wherever a person is admitted. Yes.
There's something wrong. But I hope, again, even just having these conversations openly and even online, again, will encourage people to know and to understand the world of mental health and mental illness. Again, right? Speaking of having conversations, we'd love to hear what you have to share. So do follow us on social media and tweet and Instagram and Facebook us, message us, let us know your thoughts. But we have to take a quick break. When we come back, we are going to dive into the world of treatments and the different options that there are available. We'll be back in a moment.
This is NTV.
At Fiber, we mean business and time is money. You cannot be wasting time waiting on slow internet.
workplace. It's because nobody likes me.
Okay.
That is why I'm being picked out all the time. So you change that thinking process.
Yeah.
You coach them how to externalize that.
Yeah.
Make it about issues, make it about others, make it about the situation. Like say even in exams, when students fail exams and they get a C or a D, they probably identify with that failure.
Yeah, and
you coach people, you are not your successes, neither are you your failures.
Yeah.
It's how you revised for the exam.
Right.
That's the feedback you're getting, so that you can get better or even do better as you revise for the others. So there are certain situations where people will go through psychotherapy and they will be fine.
It works. Okay.
There are conditions where people must seek medical treatment. That is now see psychiatrists for medication.
Yeah.
There are conditions like schizophrenia, bipolar, and many others.
Yeah.
Like say post-traumatic stress disorders, they would do probably medical treatment for a brief period of time.
Yeah.
And then they combine with psychotherapy and they will be okay.
Yeah.
However, I need to say, because almost all the mental illnesses, we say they affect the mind.
Yeah.
They affect the way you think. We should not just do medication alone.
Okay.
People need to understand that the medication lifts the symptoms.
Okay.
If you're not sleeping, you'll be able to sleep better. If you're not eating, your appetite will change.
Yeah.
If you're sad, your mood will be lifted. But the thoughts that were causing the sad mood
are still
the same.
Yeah.
So you need a psychotherapist to take you through techniques, how to change, to reprogram your mind, how to start thinking differently, face life differently, so that you're in debt again, but you don't get depressed.
Right.
You're not the only
because
one
it doesn't mean that you
Exactly.
won't have these stresses or triggers in your life
Exactly.
anymore.
You lose someone in your life. I mean, all of us will go through those moments. Sorrows, joys, happiness. It is how you deal with those situations.
Okay. Now, what happens in, okay, so the thing is, some of these treatment options can be quite expensive.
Oh, yes.
Therapist can be expensive per session. And I know it's not just one session and you're like, good to go, you're back to normal. It takes several. And also treatment is expensive. And in fact, Sam, the guest I was telling you about earlier, who was there last week, was sharing that one of the things that happened was that she went into debt because of a lot of the expenses that she had to incur. What are some of the options are there non or affordable options available?
I know today, for example, in every church also, there are trained counselors.
Okay.
I know a number of Nairobi churches.
Yeah.
There are people offering pro bono services.
Okay.
For counseling.
Yeah.
And sometimes also in our clinics, we also pick out very needy cases and offer pro bono services.
Okay.
But not where someone wants a pro bono service and then after that they are passing by Java. So we are also able to assess.
Okay, makes sense. Right. Yeah.
Because there are people who will find paying for therapy very expensive, but going to the salon or doing something else is not as expensive.
Oh, right.
Going to see a medical doctor is not as expensive, but seeing a therapist is. Did you get
so
now?
it's a perception
it's
issue.
It's a perception also.
Okay.
Oh, yes.
Okay, so at least there are some options available.
There are some options available, yes.
Yeah.
And when people seek the help, you're even guided how to seek the help.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
How I know this is probably case by case, but on average, how long would treatment take? And does it, once it starts, is it you're good forever, it's done, it's solved, and it'll never be an issue, or?
For some, yes.
Okay.
However, it is dependent on the condition and the proactivity of the individual. For example, for people who are in denial.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
That I don't have this. So they come to therapy, 3 sessions, they feel better, and their friends are saying, why are you seeing a shrink? You know?
Yeah.
That's what they will call us.
Yeah.
You look okay.
Yeah.
So they start now defaulting on the treatment.
Yeah.
They see psychiatrists, they are given medication, they feel okay for 3 weeks, then they default on their treatment. They stop taking their medication. But those who follow through with the advice they are given, for example, for depression, people are told 3 months, you'll be fine. So they proactively will take their medication and seek therapy.
Okay.
So by the end of 3 months, for some, they actually can be tapered off as the doctor is observing what is happening.
Yeah.
If they are able now to kick in with the therapeutic techniques they have learned how to deal with issues in their life,
yeah,
they are good to go. But then we tell them, if by any chance something happens in your life and you start feeling like you're going back, quickly come back for some sessions. They will not be as proactive as the initial ones, but you'll be okay.
Okay.
But where people now default on medication, then we move from 3 months to 6 months, from 6 months to 2 years, from 2 years to 5 years, from 5 years to forever.
Right.
So it's also like, say, for therapy, because you're not being given medication, the assignments given around your thoughts, your mood, your behavior.
Right.
So if you're not doing those activities or assignments given, we cannot get any outcome. The therapeutic
like
technique, the change we are looking for, exactly like school homework. And as a therapist, I mark it. We mark it together. And I ask you, Sharon, you said that you're feeling nice, you're happier. Who is noticing that? Who has told you that you look brighter, you look happier? If you tell me 2, 3 people have told you so, that's a tick. If you tell me no one has picked it at home, in the workplace.
And I think that the key thing here is that you have to be very honest.
Exactly.
That in as much as, you know, there is an assessment that takes place, it's not like, you know, you have 90%, that's great, you know, because I think some people might want to then just get the ticks and stuff. But if you really care about you really moving past this, then you really need to be open and honest.
To be open about it. And for example, for therapy, then even when you start, for example, with weekly sessions, when someone is able now to start doing the assignment proactively, then you go to 2 weeks, then 3 weeks, then probably monthly sessions, just to check how they are doing and to build on more skills. And I noticed the people who have done so well, they'll go away even for 3 months. Then they call back after maybe something is going on.
To check in.
To check in.
And to make sure that everything is great.
Is great, yes.
And now I'm curious to know, can it be successful, can a mental illness be successfully treated? Say someone with bipolar, can they come into your office, do the work, you know, be proactive, take the medication if it's needed, and at some point they're treated, they're cured completely?
They can be cured, and there's something we call, for example, a drug holiday. Where they are not on any medication, but during that period they are being observed how they'll be behaving. Because remember, we said the causes and the triggers are complex. We don't know the causes for these illnesses. It's the chemicals in the brain, it's the predisposing factors, it's the stressors in their life. So we don't know what will happen, even as we are giving them this drug holiday. So we are still suspecting maybe something may happen along the way, and they may start experiencing the symptoms again. So we just cautious to tell people, we just want you to be alert. If anything, you start experiencing something, own up. Come back, or seek the help. Yes.
Now, say for instance, I do want to go see a psychologist or a psychiatrist.
Yes.
What are some of the rules when it comes to that first engagement, or you know, going into your office? What are some of the things that you expect from your clients when they come in?
Number one is that they will be honest, because it's a relationship. That they are coming to talk about what they are going through. And they are ready to probably, you know, it's, for us, we say it's a privilege when people come in and they talk about themselves and very deep issues. So we take that as an honor. But also for them to be ready to work on themselves. Because my work ends at the end of the session. They are the ones to go home and take what they have learned in therapy into their life and use it so that we can get the change we are looking for. So for me, number one is the proactivity and the seriousness that deserves. Because for us to get any outcome, they need to do the work seriously. And also, even when they go to see a psychiatrist, because they'll give them medication, that they also need to follow through with the treatment they've been given. And if they are experiencing any negative symptoms or side effects, they need to go and talk with the psychiatrist so that they can review and see what would work better with them.
Right.
Exactly. So mainly commitment to the process.
Right.
Exactly.
I remember also, so one of my really good friends is a psychologist, and she was trying to break down some of the things that have to take place. So you should just take into consideration.
Yes.
And she said timeliness. She was saying me, don't come into someone's office 30 minutes late. And you know, in Kenya, it's easy to be like, traffic. It's just, so you have to respect the hour. I assume even in your practice, it's an hourly
it's an hourly
rate
appointment, an hourly rate.
Yeah.
And if you come in late, we don't see you, and you pay for the appointment because we did not take in someone else.
Right.
We had blocked the time for you.
Right. So you need to respect their time. If it's 12 to 1, it's 12 to 1. And you should actually be there 11:55. She was even telling me, you want to even be there 5 minutes early, minimum.
Exactly.
And another thing she said that I thought was very interesting was that if I did, say for instance, you were my doctor, if I met you outside of the session, that you would not then come up to me like, hey, Sharon, how are you doing?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Because this is a small world.
It's a small world.
Probably someone wouldn't want, if they imagine maybe someone else knows I'm a psychologist and like, oh, this is your psychologist. So like for me, probably I'll meet some of my clients and I'm with my kids and we are saying hi and they're asking, who is this?
Yeah.
And sometimes I just have to say it's a friend or someone, a friend of a friend.
Yeah.
Somehow, just to protect them.
And I love that you know, if you are a little conscious about this, that there's that respect that you won't walk into be shopping in the supermarket and someone's like, why were you saying hi to that psychologist like that?
Exactly.
And that if you come up to the person, if you as a client, if I came up to you, it's okay, but it can't be the other way around, that you come up to me. I'm
the one coming to you, to your family to say, hey, hi Sharon,
how are you doing?
How are you doing? Are you doing your assignment? No, that's wrong.
And then everyone's like, assignment? What's going on? What are you doing? And then you have, so I love that there's that respect. Now, what are some of the things that we could be doing on a daily basis or weekly basis to just sort of keep up our mental well-being? Yeah.
For me, all the time, the starting point from session 1, self-care.
Okay, break that down. What does self-care mean?
Self-care entails taking care of your physical body.
Okay.
All the area, emotional, psychological, spiritual.
Okay.
And even social.
Yes.
So the physical, we start with exercise.
Right.
What you eat, what you drink.
Yes, yeah. We were talking about that actually during the break. We were saying how it's sometimes you end up drinking so much, and the society just assumes it's just, he just likes a good time. She just likes a good time.
Yes, when you're drinking to deal with something, you need to deal with in a different way.
Yeah.
It's a negative coping mechanism.
Yeah.
But if you're taking it to have a good time with friends, that's
fine. But if it's
you're taking it so that you can sleep,
right.
That's a negative coping mechanism.
And if you're not able to function, go to work.
Exactly.
But okay, so you said take care of your
spiritual,
physical.
your physical. So exercising, any form of exercise is good enough. 30 minutes a day is good enough, or 3 hours in a week, because it helps to release the feel-good hormones, endorphins, especially for people who have issues of depression. Exercise is like medication.
Okay.
It releases the feel-good hormones. They will feel energetic. The sleep will be improved, their appetite will be improved. It helps a lot. And then the other thing is work.
Okay.
We do not just work for money.
Right.
We work for fulfillment.
Right.
Our society is so much materialistic that we think about working for money. If you find that which you like to do, even while you're doing your job,
do it.
Enjoy it. If it's knitting in the evening, sit back and watch your shows as you're knitting. If it's baking, enjoy that. If it's creating things and drawing, as you look at them, you feel good about yourself.
So work is a big one.
Work is a big one.
Maybe I would add there, like maybe
the other one, we observe sleep hygiene.
Oh, okay.
Where we talk about, especially because all these mental illnesses will have a major symptom as sleep component somewhere.
Okay.
So it's where you sleep at a particular time, wake up at a particular time. Avoid stimulants, sometimes like caffeine, alcohol, because they'll give you the energy to end drugs, marijuana, they'll give you energy to work, but at night interfere with your sleep.
Okay. Ooh, okay, ladies and gentlemen, you have heard it from Dr. Nancy. Thank you so much for sharing and opening our eyes to the world of mental health, actually, and understanding that it is something that can affect anyone, whether it's you or a loved one. So I hope that whatever was shared today was something that was impactful and you can take it with you, and that we can continue to have the conversation online. In fact, we are going to have another conversation around mental health the next Thursday and the Thursday after that, just so that we can learn together. Remember to follow us on social media. That's Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, Living with S. And I think that's it. We'll see you tomorrow. We've got an exciting one in planned for you guys. Actually, there's some music involved, so you do not want to miss this. See you tomorrow, 8 a.m. Bye.